Okay, as our numbers seem to have stabilized here, we'll get started with our virtual bridge opening today. There's three words 2 years ago I imagined I would never say, but here we are. Uh, Notwithstanding, we're looking like we back towards some normalcy. We are not yet at the point where we could gather in the kinds of numbers that we would like to mark this important occasion in the history of the city of Barrie. But it is my pleasure as mayor to welcome MPPs Downey and Kangin and so many people who have been involved in this project, including representatives of the Huron-Wendat Nation, who are with us today for today's virtual ceremony. I want to begin today with a land acknowledgement, and we will do that first and rightly foremost. I'm going to make a few brief remarks, and then we have a short video to show you. I'll then invite MPPs Kangin and Downey to make some remarks. And then, very importantly, I'll conclude with a number of thanks because, as you can imagine, a project of this scale involves a significant number of people from a significant number of organizations, and it's important to recognize all the work that's been done, so that people like the mayor get to do an opening ceremony for today's announcement. So we will begin with a very important land acknowledgement, which is that this sacred land has been a site of ancestral activity by the Huron-Wendat people for millennia. Today, Barrie is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, including the Anishinaabe people, which include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and moving forward in the spirit of truth and reconciliation with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. And it is indeed important that we recognize at the outset that a Huron-Wendat village was located within a few hundred meters of this bridge. And prior to construction of the bridge, the city worked extensively with the Huron-Wendat on archaeology excavations, as I think many people in our region know. And here at the site, members of the Huron-Wendat Nation were on site every day. They were a critical part of the team. We worked together to uncover and preserve many artifacts, and I want to thank the Huron-Wendat for working together with us, and specifically to Melanie Vincent of the Huron-Wendat Nation for being here today to commemorate the official opening of this bridge. Now, as we enjoy this new connection in the city of Barrie, it is critical that we remember and honor the historic significance of the land and the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live here. Collectively, we are working to create a new way forward that's focused on reconciliation, relationships, and respect. And it's certainly my hope that to work on this bridge conveyed our understanding that that relationship is stronger than any bridge or indeed any project that we work on together, and work that must continue. So before I make a few other remarks, we are going to now play a video to give you a sense of what our project looks like that is officially opening today. So Rob, if you could roll the video.
Well, I'm here on a brand new bridge over Highway 400. This is the Harvie Big Bay Point Bridge, and this is such a big day for Barrie. For years, traffic congestion on Mapleview and in the fast-growing south end of the city has been a problem, and this is one of the solutions. A new east-west connection across the highway that goes right through the middle of our city. And with all the growth that's coming to Barrie, whether it's behind me, the new industrial, commercial, and residential development in the south end of the city, this will make it easier to get around. One of Council's strategic priorities for this term was making it easier to get around the city. And today we get to celebrate the opening of a brand new way to get from east to west across the south end of Barrie.
So the Harvie Big Bay project has been under construction and for the last 4 years, and we're super excited that this is really going to be a great asset for the city, helping people get around in the south end, and also the ability to accommodate future growth needs for the city. It's 5 lanes of vehicular traffic, it has 2 separated bike lanes, it has 2 sidewalks, so it's a really great opportunity to have vehicular and active transportation options in the south end. We've also designed this project to accommodate future widenings, either of the road or Highway 400 in the future if that's ever necessary.
Thanks very much for that, and thanks to Barrie 360 for their help in putting together that video for today. And with that, I would like to introduce the Member of Provincial Parliament for Barrie Innisfil, where the bridge is located, MPP Andrea Khanjin.
Well, thank you, Mayor Lieben, and I'm thank you to everyone who's watching and attending today. This project, as the mayor said in the video, it's long in the making, and Andrea Miller mentioned it. It was 4 years of construction, but the project itself has been on the books or in the works for 6 years or so. And so various levels of government and of course different council members have really contributed to this. But as a member of the South, I used to be a South End resident. I currently live in Innisfil, but you talk to residents and you ask them when you knock on their door, you speak to them at events, and what could really relieve their day. And oftentimes it's things associated with commuting. So whether it's increasing GO Train or GO Transit times, whether it is creating more options like we're doing with downtown Barrie and the transit hub, whether it's expanding the Highway 400, or what's been on the minds of many people in the South End as it continues to grow is Harvie Road and Big Bay Point and that entire artery. And you think about arteries in our healthcare system and how important it is to keep those moving and healthy. But just as important and just as healthy is we need to get people moving on the road so they spend less time in traffic, less time in congestion, means they can get to work on time, less stress, they can take their kids to school or to extracurricular activities, and life is just a little bit easier. And I think that's a great theme for the South End of Barrie, as so many families seek to come to the South End of Barrie to really enjoy what Barrie and Simcoe County has to offer, the incredible community that we have. But all of them, they want to live life a little bit easier. And so this major improvement to the Harvie Road is just, when you drive through it, it's not just a smooth drive, but it's peace of mind that you have. And I know when we got elected provincially, you always look to these projects of what's really going to help improve your community. And of course, it came to mind that, we really need to keep investing in the Harvie Road and Big Bay Point. So provincially, the provincial government did invest something to the tune of almost $6 million to the project. And the main contribution of that, we often say, you can't cut ribbons on underground infrastructure, but that's just as important. We had to get, of course, the stormwater and sewer work in place to make this project happen. We had to replace the median barrier and, of course, do some resurfacing and replacement of the median. And so oftentimes it's, we can't really cut ribbons on those things, but they're very, very important. And they stand for the people that are going to use them. This isn't just dollars and concrete. These are the people that are behind this project, and the people that are going to be benefiting from this project. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, former councillors that I, spoke to many years ago about this project, and they had sat down with me when I became elected. But, Arif Khan, for his vision that he worked on with people like Keith Strawn and Terry and Steve from North American, I should say, who really originally brought a lot of this and pushed it and really pushed the limits of how this can be possible and logistically possible. And that would be, done without other councillors, former councillor Andrew Prince and current councillor Mike McCann and Sergio Morales, just to name a few. I know the mayor will go into more detail, but I want to thank you for making me a part of this. I certainly, as a representative of the South End, this will alleviate me going from trip to trip, but more so, I'm just thrilled for the residents and what this means to them today. Thank you. I'll pass it over to my colleague, Doug Downey.
Thanks so much, Andrea. And Mayor Lehman, thank you so much for including us in the official opening. I'm not going to repeat anything that Andrea said. I'm really excited because the design of this, I think the city gets a lot of credit for incorporating the active transportation. It's a nice wide open space. It's safe. There's choices to be made when you invest money in infrastructure like this, as you know, and to have a top quality as we try and replace infrastructure throughout the area, as you go up, the 400 and up Highway 11, a lot of bridge work and things happening. This is a model on active transportation and how we connect communities. So I'm just thrilled to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you both, MPPs Khanjin and Downey, for those remarks. And I will certainly echo some of your thanks in my own remarks, as well as really, I do want to acknowledge the importance of the project. And I just want to say a few words about that. One of the engineers, when I was standing on the bridge a few days ago, told me that this is the first new connection across Highway 400 inside the city of Barrie in 60 years. Um, we often forget that Highway 400 is 400 because it was the first of the 400 series highways. And that means many of the bridges that were built at the time and the road system that was built at the time was built in the 1950s. And that means it was designed, in some cases, in the 1940s, some of the initial design before the Southern Ontario Highway started to be built in the 1950s. Um, the connection is so important because between every other set of interchanges in Barrie, between Duckworth and Bayfield, between Bayfield and Dunlop, between Dunlop and Essa, there are other ways to get across Highway 400, other roads that have bridges, St. Vincent, Tiffin, and although that bridge is currently being replaced, of course, and Sunnydale. But there was never a connection in the south end. And after the then Molson Park Drive Diamond Interchange was constructed, of course, the area grew extremely quickly and grew into a major commercial district in the fast growing city of Barrie. But there was no other way to get from east to west across the south end of the city of Barrie. Today there is, and that's this bridge. And it has been designed along with the expansion to Harvie Road and Big Bay Point. And significantly, as you come off the bridge today, you go through that set of lights on the west side, which is the future connection for Bryn Drive. And that really will complete what has long been needed to handle, at least help handle, the capacity of a fast growing city of 150,000 today, but looking ahead to a city of 300,000 in 30 years' time. Another interesting piece about this project is while the bridge was constructed as a bridge, there's forethought given to the potential for it to be a future interchange. So land has been protected on the four corners of the bridge around the landings, which would allow construction of ramps in the future. And that's an ongoing discussion with the ministry that we are planning ahead for the potential to do that to handle growth in the city. And thank you, MPP Downey, for mentioning the active transportation component. Back in the day, these bridges really were not built with anything but cars in mind. And anybody who's tried to cross the Ann Bridge or the Dunlop Street Bridge or any of those 1950s era bridges will know that it's a narrow sidewalk and there's certainly no consideration given to cycling. Today, that is much different. With the work that we did together with the province at Duckworth and Cundles, the entire interchange and the area, the underpass underneath and so forth was constructed with cycling and walking in mind, as well as cars. And this bridge is no exception with the separated bike lanes that have been included. A number of thank yous. Todd Comfort was the project manager for this bridge, and he was a huge pleasure to deal with. He did provide me with a list of people that should be recognized, and I want to mention them now. HCIO is a Barrie company, Highway Construction Inspection Ontario. They're a local Barrie company. They did all the day-to-day construction inspection work for the city on this project. So thank you to HCIO. Barrie City Police, of course, did traffic control as recently as the end of last week on several occasions as we tried to minimize the impact, particularly on Big Bay Point and Fairview. City of Barrie staff, too many to thank, but I think it is safe to say at least someone from every department helped try and make this a success. But of course, the lead work done by our engineering department, our capital department, and the team that manage traffic and road projects here in the city, including Ms. Miller, who was in the video. Thank you to all of you for your work, especially those who really lived and breathed the project over the past couple of years. Of course, councillors from the previous council and councils, because as mentioned, of course, there were lively discussions a few years ago around the timing of this project, but of course, it had its genesis even before that. And councillors Prowse and Broussard, whose residents were even 10 years ago feeling the impacts of the traffic in the area and advocated for the project. Councillor Khan, Councillor Prince, and others in the last council, and especially the community representatives, of course, who said this needs to get done. And we did have the opportunity as the previous council to make some choices around whether the project could be moved up, and the project was moved up. And credit to our staff for accommodating the decisions of council financially, which do run to the tens of millions, but also for being able to deliver the project. Fast growth is what generated the need for this, whether it was the growth in the 80s and 90s that created the conditions in the first place, or the growth that is coming, which is why we built the bridge the way we did and why land has been protected for future interchange. But thank you to council colleagues past and current who advocated for the project. I want to mention the utility companies that coordinated relocating their infrastructure. That included Electra, Bell, Enbridge, Rogers, and Zio. A lot of work, obviously a lot of utilities are coordinated with a bridge like this, and you have to get a lot of things across a highway, not just cars and people on bikes and walking. So thank you for your work. Obviously, the ministry, thank you for all the help as a partner in making this a successful project, MTO. Hatch and Tatum Engineering, it was their design and their ongoing help during construction to make the project happen. And of course, to AECON Construction and Materials Limited for building a beautiful road and a bridge. And Collier's project leaders, who were the managers of D&C Design and Construction, to ensure the project stayed on budget. And of course, the best interests of all of our residents as the city were number one. So thank you to an incredible project team. I did have the opportunity to meet some of them on the bridge over the last couple of weeks. Projects like this can only happen with a very, very large team and the collaboration of public and private groups across the team. So thank you so much to everybody involved in delivering this project. It will have an impact for generations, as the previous bridges and the previous infrastructure has in many ways shaped traffic patterns in our city. This will too. And it is my hope that today, it's actually not the first day because we've been able to have the bridge open for a few days. Folks have been able to start finding it and adjusting their mental maps as to how they get around in the south end. But as more traffic uses it, and especially as we complete the Brine Drive connection in the next few years, hopefully council will have helped deliver on our key priority to make it easier to get around the city of Barrie. So thank you again to everyone who's made it happen, and to MPPs Downey and Kangin for joining us, to Melanie Vincent from the Huron-Wendat, and to the Huron-Wendat for their collaboration, and again to all the team at the city. Thank you, everyone. Use the bridge. We hope it makes life easier, and I wish you all a very good day. Thank you for tuning in today to this opening announcement. Bye-bye.